as well as YouTube as well. Let's bring on board our experts. We have Kunal Bothra as well as Gaurang Shah with us this morning. Gaurang, I'm going to start and come to you first. Padma Balan has a query on, they are holding Britannia, 100 shares of Britannia, and they're saying that the past 6 months Britannia has actually not done too much or not changed much. So they want to switch from Britannia. What would be the stock you would be saying? MTAR, IRCTC or Godrej Properties is what they should be looking at, or should they continue to hold Britannia?
So, Mini, the reason for Britannia's underperformance, and as a matter of fact, the entire FMCG pack was primarily because of the fact that the input cost was at an elevated level, and that did reflect upon the margins. But we believe that this is a one-off case, and going forward, like other large players, even Britannia would eventually pass on the cost pressure on to the end consumer. Having said that, we remain positive on Britannia from a long-term point of view, but just in case if the investor wants to move out from Britannia and looking at other sectorial ideas, then my sense is that real estate, Godrej Property, of course, we did cover it a while back, but because of valuation, it looks a little bit rich. So instead of looking at these two companies, I would advise an alternative sector. Private sector banks is something that excites us to a great extent, and we've seen significant improvement over there in the second quarter earnings gone by. So if there is a switch that I would suggest, then I would suggest Axis Bank from a long-term point of view in the private sector universe, and we believe that there is going to be a major turnaround for banking and finance as far as earnings goes.
Okay. Gentlemen, small request, please keep your answers a little shorter today because we've got lots of queries. Gaurang and Kunal, a lot of people want to hear from you. The next one's for you, Kunal. Greaves Cotton is the name of the counter. We've got Mr. Parsi joining in from Bangalore, and he's asking whether this is a good time to enter the stock or whether you're likely to get better entry point in the near term.
See, I think there is a likelihood that you may get a better entry point. So one thing is good that you've picked up a stock which is riding on the thick of very high momentum for itself. Such kind of stocks, they tend to correct a bit more lesser than the overall market and the mid-cap space. So yes, you can look to buy the stock maybe slightly cheaper. Then I think rather than waiting, you can start nibbling, at current levels, and then maybe wait for another levels. 210, 208 should be the next level. In case if the stock corrects to that zone, look to add further.
Okay, Gaurang, coming to you, Nimesh wants to know, he's bought in Devyani Internationals as 170 rupees per share. Is it, at what price can he average this, and is it a good long-term share that they should be looking at?
So we had a subscribe to the IPO of Devyani International, and from those levels the stock has gone up to a great extent. Just in case if the investor has a long-term view and wants to add to Devyani, I think corrections of on the lower side, possibly closer to 150 or thereabouts, would be a decent zone to average Devyani International.
Okay, we've got a question from Kumar, and this one's on Dr. Lal PathLabs. He's asking, Kunal, for the long term, is this a good entry price at the current market price?
Not really. I would suggest to wait for some more time. The stock has just started to get into a corrective phase. Now, on the short-term charts, if you look at it over the last 1 month, yes, the stock has corrected some 14-15% odd. But when you look at it structurally with the rally the stock had seen from the pandemic lows and then the kind of corrective move the stock has seen, it's very, very meager in terms of price correction. I would suggest to wait for some more time, let the stock find some good support, let there be some stabilization in terms of prices. That's where we would be able to decipher a better trading range for Lal PathLabs. As of now, would suggest a wait and maybe look to average, if you're looking at a longer term buy, say closer to 2,800 or sub that as well.
Okay, Gaurang, coming to you, Abhijit is currently holding 50 shares of Relaxo he's bought in it at an average price of 1,200 levels with a long-term view. So should he accumulate more at the current levels, or what should he be doing now?
So Vinny, we don't have a coverage on this one, no specific comments, but in the footwear universe, Bata is something that we've been positive from a long-term point of view.
Gaurang, we've got a question on Burger King, and this is from Narayan from Bengaluru. He's holding at an average price of 159 per share, and he's wondering whether to hold on to this or should he switch to something else. What's your view?
So I think again, over here, Alex, we had a subscribe to the IPO from a fundamental point of view, and if you are in the QSR segment, you need to be a little bit patient. News flow does have an impact on the QSR segment, but e-commerce, home delivery is something that also keeps the sales figures and cash registers ringing. I would not advise any kind of switch. I think if you can hold on with some patience, you can definitely hold on to Burger King.
Okay. Kunal, this question is specifically for you. Soumitra is asking that, can they buy a Naukri at current price? What is the fundamental and technical view that you have on Naukri?
Yeah, I think from a price point level, it's a very attractive level in Info Edge. In fact, just about 3-4 days back, the stock was actually on the verge of breaking past about 50 DMA. 2-3 days, the stock has gone back into a corrective phase. So it's taking its own time to try and break out of this 50-day moving average, which I believe could probably take maybe another process of a couple of weeks for the stock to gather steam and then break past. But purely in terms of price points, the corrections, the stock has seen from 7,300 levels to 5,300. That's a very decent correction of almost 30% for Info Edge. So price wise, yes, looks to be a good averaging point or a point where you can look to start buying from a longer term view.
Okay, Kunal, I'm just taking a chance and asking you this. Pioneer Embroideries. This is, from what I can tell, a very small counter. We've got a question coming in from Venkat Ramana from Hyderabad, and he's asking whether it can be bought for the short term.
Short term wise, you may look to buy the stock, but then the volatility for the stock is slightly bit higher because of the lack of volume. So liquidity is an issue for this name. 60 seems to be a good support territory for Pioneer Embroidery, and I think that also coincides with the 50-day moving average. So if you can keep a stop loss which could be as wide as 60, then possibly you can look to trade the stock. On the upside, you may look out for say somewhere close to 72, 74 as a potential target range for the stock. But as I said, that because of the wide volatility, you might have to keep a deeper stop loss in this trade.
Okay. Gaurang, Vijay Lakshmi is asking for a long-term view on Cadillac Healthcare. Is it a good time to enter the stock now, current prices?
Well, so pharma has its performance and underperformance, but from a long-term point of view, as we all know, India is the pharmacy to the world, and it will remain like this for a pretty long period of time. Long-term point of view, we do have a buy call on Cadillac Healthcare.
Gaurang, Gopalakrishnan from Chennai is asking a broad question about Realty. Is this a good time to enter into Realty stocks, and which one would you pick?
So Alex, real estate is something that we had coverage some time back, but because of the recent run-up and valuation, most of the stocks have hit the targets that we have covered. Stocks were, of course, names like Godrej Property, Shobha Limited, Prestige Estate, Subraya Realty. So not at current levels. Possibly if you get a dip, I think it would be sensible to get into it. But please bear in mind, this overall sector, I would comment is that it's a high beta sector. It does have its ups and downs on the news flows that come across. So you need to be a little bit careful and cautious.
Okay, Kunal, what's your short-term view on IEX? GDK Tinku has bought in it at 270 levels. So what is the short-term view for this stock?
The stock is getting back into that the breakout mode every time, and whenever it comes closer to that breakout point, the volatility tends to be a bit more higher, and then the trend seems to fizzle out for IEX, which means that the stock is not as of now looking at the patterns for price and volumes ready for a breakout, which means high probability that the stock may consolidate. If you've bought at higher levels, I would suggest either wait, let the stock settle down into a trading range, let there be some concrete signals that the volatility in the stock starts to increase up higher, and then you see a breakout eventually happening. So as of now, I would suggest a wait. And then, if the prices come back again after a mild consolidation back above that 270 mark, there could be a higher probability that this could, then be a very stronger breakout. But as of now, would suggest a wait and watch.
The next question is coming in from Raj Guge, and he's asking about Berger Paints for the long term. Gaurang, this one's for you. Would you pick Berger Paints or would you pick one of the other paint companies?
It's a difficult one, Alex. We have coverage on Asian Paints, Berger Paints, and Kansai Nerolac. And as you all know, rising crude oil prices are a deterrent to to paint manufacturing companies, but they eventually pass on the benefits. So yes, if you do want to get into Berger Paints from a long-term point of view, I would advise you can do that.
Gaurang, I'm going to come to you again. Prateek has a question on DMart. He's holding 40 shares at 2,400 levels. What is the long-term view, especially coming in that, DMart has seen a bit of a correction coming in post its results. So should they be buying more in the dips?
So, Vinny, we have a coverage, but from a buy side, we have recommended a reduce because it has reached our target price with the recent run-up. Just in case if the investor wants to book profits at current levels, he can do that and possibly wait for an appropriate lower level.
Okay, I'm going to take another question. This is coming in from Rajeshwari. Kunal, do you have a view on IFCI? If you have a view, could you give us a short-term view? We've got a viewer who's bought at levels of 17.
I think it's a stock which has clearly underperformed when you look at it last 12 months, 15 months, even in the last, I think, 2 years of this market recovery. It's been a big underperformer in the last 10 years as well. The stock made a high of 120, made a low, I think, of around 4 rupees or 5 rupees, and now back towards 16 rupees. So it's been a big underperformer across majority of the time frames. I would suggest not to look at such kind of stocks and concentrate more on large cap names. In fact, corrections like these, what you've seen yesterday and today, assuming if it pans out for the next few trading sessions as well, should be a good opportunity where you can start looking at large cap names and specifically the quality ones.
Okay, and with that, we are now it's time for our rapid fire round. So Kunal and Gaurang, quick answers is what we'll be expecting. Gaurang, I'm going to start with you. Manoj is holding BPCL at 453 rupees per share, and 1,000 quantities. Should they hold or should they be exiting the stock?
So we are positive on BPCL, and I think the divestment should pick up and move into fifth gear. Long-term point of view, hold on to BPCL.
Kunal, DCM Shriram Industries bought at levels of 103. The target Puneet has is 110. Should he hold on?
You can look to hold on. The stock looks quite attractive on the short-term charts. I would suggest to hold on.
Gaurang, KJ Singh is asking for a long-term view on Motherson Sumi. Is it a good time to add or buy fresh stock of Motherson Sumi?
So we are positive on auto ancillary and OEM segment, Vinny, and the acquisition spree that the company was some time back has led to earning visibility. Long term, hold on to it, and that should be used to.
Kunal, what is the immediate support that you're seeing on the Nifty 50? We've got Mukil who's asking whether this is going to be a sustained downturn and whether this can be used as an opportunity to nibble into big or large cap names.
Then the first major support for the index comes closer to 17,650. So that would be another 300 points from current levels. So if you're looking at it from a short-term point of view, that should be a very, very important support to watch out for.
Kunal, coming to you again, Shailaja is asking, can they buy Apple India at the current price for a short term?
I think Apple India has done pretty well for itself. Last, I think if I'm not wrong, 2 months, the stock had also rallied from 1,000 to 1,500. Now into a corrective phase. Let the correction come or stock come closer to 1,250 level. That would be a good entry point for Apple.
Kunal, HUL call at a strike of 2420. What should the strategy be?
I think you should look to exit the stock.
Gaurang, with that, actually, we are absolutely out of time on this edition for the stock queries, but we'll be taking more queries tomorrow. Thank you so much, Gaurang, as well as Kunal, for joining in with us on your show, giving us your expert comments as well. And with that, we'll slip into a short break, but stay tuned in because we'll be back with more on the other side.
देखो 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 नया टीवी देखो aha got the veggies from Chotu's shop. He gives the right rate.
Yes, Papa.
Decided 55-inch TV on this wall.
Oh, super. I'll write out